Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play and earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's video, I wanted to start a series, probably going to do a three-part series here of hot takes. And well, it's probably going to get a little spicy. So let's hop into it. And today, what I want to talk about is I kind of wanted to respond to a few of Aftersound's recent videos around Rebellion, Chaos Legion, and the Wild format for ranked battles. And first, a shout out to Aftersound. Aftersound creates the most relevant and current and probably some of the best content in the Splinterverse here from a content creation perspective. And obviously, I totally respect Aftersound's views and his ability to bring topics like we're going to talk about today to the forefront of the conversation in the community. And I had some, I guess, different or maybe additional opinions on some of these topics, and I wanted to share those here in some of these hot take videos here that we're going to be talking about over the next couple days. And the first one I wanted to start with today is the take that cards are not an investment until wild rank battles is fixed, right? Now, this kind of stems from, like I said, some video commentary and ideas and thoughts from Aftersound recently on the Rebellion set, and specifically how I think Aftersound was considering and musing on finishing, basically completing his Chaos Legion card set and just focusing on the Rebellion card set because of the declining value and utility of the Chaos Legion cards. And I had posted a comment in that video to Aftersound and had some conversation around that topic. And I think it led to Aftersound's subsequent video talking about that bots are not the problem in wild rank battles, and it's actually, in Aftersound's view, more of a problem of card inflation or card supply. Now, what I wanted to start with talking about today is how I don't think it's necessarily just a problem of card supply and card inflation. Now, for sure, that's a part of the equation here, but I wanted to provide a different context or point of view around this topic. First, I want to start with discussing previous card sets and card history and kind of what's happened in the past to kind of set the table for what I believe will happen in the future unless a change is made. Specifically, if you were here around 2021, right before or right after, I guess, the Chaos Legion reward cards were released, and we still had beta starter cards available to earn for all players in the game. If you were around in that point in time, well, you'll remember that there was huge value placed upon two specific cards in the meta at that time. That would be the Venari Wavesmith and Jin O'Shaughnessy, right? These were cards that had great value in the market, and if you pulled one of those from a chest, you were happy because, well, it was a good card that you could use or sell because it had a lot of value. And if you recall back then, what happened is overnight, the price of Jin O'Shaughnessy and the Venari Wavesmith tanked. And the question is why did those card values tank? Was it all of a sudden that Jin O'Shaughnessy was not a good card and he was no longer meta and he sucked? Same thing with the Venari Wavesmith. And the answer is no. At that point in time, well, Kalia wasn't around necessarily, but at that point in time, specifically what changed is Ulrich, the summoner, who was available to everyone to use and earn with at the most basic level in the game, which was essentially bronze and silver, was pulled from the starter cards, and that you could no longer use Ulrich to earn DEC rewards at that time. And so because of that, the availability of Ulrich as a summoner to capitalize on Jin O'Shaughnessy and the Wavesmith was taken away from people, and they were not able to earn like they could in the past. And because of that earning potential being basically cut significantly for those players that, in this case, did not want to pay for an Ulrich Summoner, who was very expensive at the time, the corresponding values of Jin O'Shaughnessy and the Waysmith fell drastically, right? So where am I going with this? Why is this relevant to the discussion that cards are not an investment until Wild is fixed? Well, I promise we'll get there here shortly. Let me give you one other recent example that we all can see happening in real time. And that is the example of Byzantine Kitty, right? This is a card price history courtesy of monstermarket.io talking about Byzantine Kitty. Probably still one of the best cards in the game, because guess what? Overnight, Byzantine Kitty did not become a terrible and bad card. In fact, it is still dominant wherever it is played. The problem is, it's not played in Modern anymore. And why is that relevant? Well, it's relevant because Kitty is now only playable in the Wild League. And why, if we look over the past, 6 months, did Kitty go from a selling price of $298 a BCX down to what it's selling for today at $99 a BCX? And by the way, it was a little bit lower than that just the other day. It was down to $69 a BCX. Why did its value fall by 66% in the last 6 months? Well, the reason why is because Kitty cannot earn as much in Wild as it can in Modern. That's the simple fact. Again, the earnings potential of the card has declined significantly going into Wild. Therefore, the card price has declined significantly because it can't earn as much. And it goes back to the correlation that the card isn't bad. It's definitely still meta. It wins games like no other, but its earning potential has been nerfed. Thus, the card value has been nerfed. We can look at another card here as well. Let's look at Jotun. Is Jotun a terrible card? No, it's still very dominant. And if you don't prepare for Jotun, you're going to lose. Guess what? Jotun, about 6 months ago, was selling for $190 a BCX. It is now selling today for $76 a BCX. That's more than a 50% price decline in the last 6 months. Why has Jotun's price declined? Well, because Rebellion has been entered into the Modern format and Untamed has been shuffled out into Wild. That is the reason. And I would love to talk to anyone that thinks otherwise, because the reason for the price decline isn't because Jotun is bad and doesn't win games. It's because the games it wins earn substantially less, and the ability for it to earn has gone down significantly. Thus, the card price has gone down significantly. So why is that important? Well, let's look at some of the data before we move on, because I think this is important again to summarize. Peak Monsters here shows us the battles here, right? We can see here that in Wild, there are 543,000 battles a day. But in Modern, there are 24,000 battles a day. That's over a 22x difference in battles between Wild and Modern. And why is that? Well, the simple answer is because bots are able to play and roam freely in Wild, and players, real human players, are those that are permitted by the Splinterlands Terms of Service to battle in Modern. So if we have 22 times the battles, and perhaps a portion of that being 22 times roughly the players or the bots that are running in Wild, well, guess what? That impacts rewards, because the reward pools between Modern and Wild are essentially 50% splits. And if we look at Splex here, we'll see in the current reward pools this reflected. Bots, for the most part, are more than likely playing in silver, maybe in gold primarily, right? And if you look at the valuation here of the Modern and Wild reward split, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. In Wild Silver 3, the average SPS reward is 0.036. And In Modern, where bots are not allowed by terms of service, the average SPS reward is 0.18. That is roughly a 5x, 5 times the reward value that you can get as a human player in Modern than in Wild as a bot player. Well, said differently, it means that bots are earning 1/5 of the rewards of SPS rewards than those playing in the Modern format. That therefore, cards that can earn in Modern, well, might be valued for silver level players at 5 times the value, perhaps. We can see here in Gold a similar circumstance here. Wild Gold 3 is earning 0.294 SPS, whereas Modern Gold 3 is earning 1.44. Again, it's roughly a 5x increase in value earning in Modern versus Wild. So what is the takeaway here? Well, the takeaway is you're going to be earning much less fighting ranked battles in the Wild format as a bot player or as a Wild player than in Modern. And thus, those cards that are available to be played in Modern today are going to maintain their value currently until they get kicked into Wild. And that's what we saw with Untamed. That's why we saw cards like Yoden, cards like Kitty, all the Untamed values tank, right? Because they went into Wild. Well, here is where we're bringing this all back to the start of the conversation. That cards are not an investment until Wild is fixed. In fact, any card that you buy today will probably assuredly go down in value over time. The reason why is because eventually those cards, whether those are Chaos Legion cards today or Rebellion in the future, will be ushered into Wild, where bots run Wild and steal all the earnings, right? And siphon that off and basically make it such that you earn 1/5 or a portion of that reward that you could in Modern with human players. So as such, your card values will go down. And there is a window on that card value. So if you buy a Rebellion card today, let's say you want to buy a Kane as a summoner because you think that's a good card investment. Well, the fact is, it's only going to go down in value. And in basically less than 2 years from now, it's going to really go down in value when it gets regulated to Wild and its earnings are cut substantially. So if you're buying a Kane right now for, let's say, $30 or $25 or whatever its price is today, it's definitely going to go down over time. It's going to depreciate. Investments do not depreciate by their nature. Investments are really at their heart something that you believe will go up in value. Now, with that a Kane card that you were to buy, let's say for $30 today, your hope is that you're able to earn $30 worth of value before it's regulated to the Wild format and its value tanks. Because if you don't get $30 of BCX worth of value from a Kane within the next 2 years, well, that is probably a bad investment, so to speak. So where, again, are we going with this? Well, here's what I would say. The answer is TikTok when it comes to Chaos Legion, because Chaos Legion is on the clock, right? We have roughly, I think it's 2 million unopened packs for Chaos Legion as an overhang right now for that card set, and its days are numbered, right? Rebellion is going to be probably in print, let's say through maybe the end of this year. So we're already almost at the end of January. So let's just say another 10 or 11 months. Rebellion's with us, and then more than likely, we're going to get the next set in 2025. So again, Chaos Legion, we have to clear Chaos Legion's 2 million unopened packs before 2025. Well, actually not before 2025, because people, if you look at Untamed, if you look at Kitty here, I mean, when Rebellion was announced, prices just plummeted. People are going to front run that for Chaos Legion, basically. And if you think Chaos Legion card prices and pack values are bad now, just wait until Q3 of 2024 this year, and it's going to be even more bloodshed. So again, where am I going with this? really the hot take here is, yes, we have card supply problems. For sure, we have card inflation problems. But more than that, we have a bot problem in Wild. And I would propose at some point that that gets looked at if we're going to fix card values. Because here, let's imagine a world. Let's just say we are like Thanos and we can snap a finger, snap a set of fingers, let's say, and we can imagine a world where bots are not present in Wild format tomorrow. Boom. Guess what happens? Well, I can tell you certain things that will for sure happen is all of a sudden the Wild format rewards will be at least equal to or more than the modern format rewards. Because now as human players that are left to play, ideally, in a bot-free Splinterlands ranked battle system, now you still have these human players that can basically battle with the current energy format, 24,000 battles a day. Now they have twice the reward pool to work with those 24,000 battles. They can earn in Wild and Modern essentially the same amount, uncontested from the 540,000 bot battles that just disappeared. So now you have human players being able to essentially double their earning potential, but their battles are not necessarily increasing. So what impact would that have on the game and its assets? Well, I can tell you in my mind, what's going to happen is now you have scarcity, right? You have scarcity of energy, you have scarcity of battles, and you have a plethora of rewards that are now available to you as a human player. So the value of the token is going to go up, the value of the cards is going to go up, and now you have players re-engaged in actually playing the game. And let me emphasize that, playing the game. That is important because that is the whole point of Web3. It is to play a game. And right now in Wild, no one is playing the game. Bots are simply farming rewards. And this is not a DeFi bot simulation, and it should not be for sustainability. So if we do not understand that at a fundamental core level, then I'm sorry, we're just destined to fail here, and we're just going to bleed out and slowly die because a DeFi bot farm is not, I repeat, not what Web3 gaming, sustainable Web3 gaming is about. And I'm happy to argue with that with anyone who would like to discuss that. But again, going back to this topic, cards are not an investment until Wild is fixed. I do believe that the Wild format with bots still running rampant in there, siphoning rewards from real players and real asset owners is a problem. Now we're going to continue the other two parts of this hot take series, and we're going to talk about other topics that I'm sure you're going to be interested to hear my views on, perhaps, maybe just to troll me, or maybe to listen in and get a point of view that may be different from others. Topics that we're going to talk about are proof of ownership and time, and the recent card power proposal. We're going to talk about card burning and card sinks. We're going to be talking about the card rental market, and finally, soulbound reward cards for earning. These are all, I think, topics that are related and relevant to this initial hot take video, and I would definitely like to hear your comments on this topic today, as well as these future hot takes. So until next time, keep stacking those stats.